Good morning everyone, it's Behzad here again from Make It Simple channel. Welcome back to another video of how to creating a login app using Android Studio and Java language. As you do remember from our previous video, we created a method to execute the reg button through our account, and as you see last time we tried it to whenever the user clicks on execute reg button. Let me bring it out for you. Whenever the user clicks on here, we will check the details that the user entered, and then we transfer the user to a welcome page. So today we are going to work on something different. We are going to create an account, send verification email to user. I'll explain what debugger does to you. Let's get it started. We are on our register page, and I am in execute reg button method. Remember, we said if the validate return true as a result, then we transfer the user from this page to our welcome page. What we are going to do today is we have to delete this lines of code. We don't need it for now, and we have to work on something. We have to create an account. Before creating an account, we are going back to our field area. Let me minimize this method. So we're not dealing with this validate user anymore for now. What we are going to do, we are coming to our field area above our onCreate. Below your radio group, just double click, write down private, FirebaseAuth, the second one, with capital F. Just make sure you insert in the correct class. So what FirebaseAuth does, it will help the user to create an account with. Then you have a gap, then FirebaseAuth with a lower f. So please remember, you must make sure you're creating an object of the main class. So make sure you're getting a capital F for a main class and lower f for an object you are creating. Then you do the semicolon. Then you do one more class to creating private Firebase Database. What Firebase Database does, it will send the user's detail to database and store there. Then again, we have a capital F, have a gap, Firebase Database with a small f, and semicolon. Now we created our variables. Now we need to get an instance from our main classes, which there are these two. How we are getting an instance? Come to your onCreate method, expand the folder. Below your set content view, come down. We need to get an instance from the main class and assign our variables to it. Small f, you need a FirebaseAuth with a small f, equals to capital F auth get instance, semicolon. We need to get an instance from this class as well. Small f Firebase Database equals a capital F Firebase Database get instance. The reason I emphasize on a capital F and lower f is if you're doing it wrong, you will facing an error, and that is all about time consuming. So make sure you follow exactly how I'm creating it. So they are ready. We minimize this our folder. Then we're coming down to our execute reg button again. So here we said if the result for this method is true, then we are going to creating an account. So for creating an account, we need the email and password. As you remember from our Firebase, we set it up as an email and password. So how we creating? We need two strings to create an account with. You just write down a string, account email equals to. So this account email, we are going to get this object and set it with Firebase and create an account with. You may ask why we are not using these strings, because these strings we are going to set a value to them for an overall users. And if we're using this string here in our field area, it will crash the app if the second user is going to register to your app. So we have to create a unique email and password to create an account with it. So we need our parent with our register pending. Then we need a child, an email. What is that child does? It will get a text, what we are going to convert it to a string. And one more thing we have to add is a trim. What trim does, if the user accidentally leave any void space between the emails and characters, the trim, it will cut it off and it will jam all the text the user creates. Semicolon, you're coming down, we need a password for it. String, account password, equals to, again we need a parent, register pending, a child, which is new user password. What we're getting, a text converted to a string, and trim, which it cuts off all the gap and the spaces. Semicolon. Then below, small f, FirebaseAuth dot create an account with email and password. So the top one, tab, and here we need an email and password. So we have created here. So I put down account email, comma, account password, coming down. We can finish it here, but if we finish it here, if something goes wrong, an app crash, we as a developer, we don't know what went wrong. And secondly, the user doesn't know what is the outcome. So instead of leaving this semicolon, we expand our app, just dot, add incomplete listener, the top one. Make sure you have an uncom, not activity one. Just tab, new, capital O-N, incomplete listener. Again, the top one, tab, and it will generate a codes for you. Before forgetting, just come down here to the bottom, just finish it with semicolon. And here, if we are going to create a user an email, that is a task. Now we have to check the task result to tell the user what happened and what will happen next. So for doing that, you just need a if else condition loop. Just write down if else. So here we check if it's been created, that means this task is successful. If it hasn't been created, that means the task is not successful. Either way, we have to tell the user. So we come into if section, we just write down task dot is successful. If task is successful, what is going to happen? Then we need to send a verification email to user. Send verification email. I do not have this method yet. That's why I'll write that as a comment. And we will send the verification email. We will create this method in a second. And then if the task is not successful, we're showing an error as a toast message to the user that we couldn't create an account. So how you are going to do it, you just write down a toast. Make sure you're writing a toast message, tab. And here we're writing down unable to create an account. Try again. So just recapping what we're doing. If the user clicks on register button, we come down here to check validate user details. That is the section where we're checking if the fields are empty, if the user puts a valid email address and a strong password and the selected gender. Then if the result for this method is true, then we're moving to next step. What is the next step? We're creating an account. So we need to use our variables from our FirebaseAuth to create an account with email and password. Then we initialized our email and password here. Just make sure you cut down trim here. Then we are going to use these two strings, create an account. Then we are going to let the user know the outcome, how we are letting to. This is a task, we call this a task. So if this task is successful, that means account has been created. And the next step is we send the verification email to user to make sure we do not let the spam users to register to our app. So I do not have this method yet, and I'm going to create it in a second. And if this task is not successful, we let the user know we couldn't create an account. So they have to try again, or something goes wrong with the Firebase account. So we have a chance, we are giving a chance to our user to do something else. Then we have done here, we're coming down below our register button. We are writing a message, send verification email to user. Where this method is going to run, it runs inside execute reg button. As you see here, this is execute reg button. The method is going right inside here. So coming down, private void, and we just copy this name and bring it down and put it as our method name. Then you using curly brackets, and then we are going to take off our comments section for here, and you see the method has been used. Copy here, bring it down, create a container for your method. We finished with execute reg button, everything's set up and ready. Just minimize it so it doesn't stay on our way. Coming down here, we put a debugger, sending verification email. That's a debugger. How are we going to send a verification email? The Firebase has another class they call a FirebaseUser, which the FirebaseUser handles the sending verification email to the user. So what we are going to do is we need a main class as a FirebaseUser, create a variable's name with a small f equals to this class, or these variables get an instance from our FirebaseAuth. How we doing it? It's just a small f get current user. So why is current user? Because we already set it up as a creating an account. Regardless of the result for this task, we have a user and we call it current user. That's why we're using the FirebaseAuth to get current user. Coming down here, we need an if else loop condition. So if the user is being created, that means it's not null. So write down FirebaseUser doesn't equals to null. Sorry, doesn't equals to null. So that means a user is being created. So if user has been created, then what we are going to do? Coming down here, again we need another method, send user data to database. Again, I do not have this account yet, this method yet, and I will create it in a second. Then we send the user data to database. Then we show a message to tell the user account has been created. Verification account successfully registered. Verify your email. The toast message does. Then we have to sign out this user and send it back to login page to make sure we have the user verify their email before logging to your app. And that method, it will increase the security of your app. So we using the FirebaseAuth dot sign out, we're signing out the current user, and then we start an activity, which is here. Make sure you're using intent one. New intent. We transfer the user from our register page dot this, where we are going to send the user to login page class. What is the reason behind it? First, we come in to check if the user doesn't equals to null. So the result of this creating an account. If it's not null, we send that user data to database. Then we show a message to them to yes, your account has been created, and just go and verify your email address which you put in to sign up. Then we are going to signing out. Don't let the user to transfer to the new page. They must verify their email before login. And we transfer the user from the register page, which is this page, to our login page. Then we have an else condition here. If none of those is true, what we are going to show the user? Unable to send verification email. Try again. And we're done here. As you see, we got a method here. We do not have that method yet. We're coming below our verification email, writing a message what it does, sending user data to database. What it runs inside this method. That's it. As you see, every method we are creating, it's a container, or that it gives you a more hint of the being organized, and you know what it belongs to what. Plus, you know what that method does and where it's going to run. And as you see, they are all related to each other. And if someone's new coming to read your code, basically pretty much they understand what have you done and what those methods are being used. So we are going to private void send user data to database. And we're creating a method. We need a debugger sending user data. Then we copy our comment on top below here. How we are going to use the user data to database. Just let me copy this here and paste it here. So we do not need the send verification email for now. Just minimize it. Just coming down. So we need to get a database reference to use and make a bridge from our app to our Firebase, to this section of the database. We're creating a database reference, a capital D. We're giving a variable's name to it, user database ref equals to. Now we need to use this Firebase class which we created here, and this authentication, and send the user data to database and how we are going to store them. So we use our Firebase database with a small f dot get reference dot child semicolon. What reference does, this reference creates a root or a subfolders to how the user can store their data. So I'm going to show you how. Just put it, creating a path for it. Just put a users / user details. And these user details, how we are going to store it, what is the user, who is the user. And in a child section, we are telling the Firebase database, this is our root and this is how we are going to store it. So we need to get a small f, FirebaseAuth dot get current user, which is being created, and get UID. So what is a UID here? If you come into your Firebase authentication section, as you see the UID here, every user has a unique ID, and we are going to use that unique ID and store the data based on sections we got here. So we're getting the current user, which is basically in our app, and then we get an ID of that user and store it as this subfolder here. Do not worry for now. We need a constructor here. And before creating a constructor, I'm going to teach you how a debugger works. So we are going to run our app. Our app is ready. Come down here to below, you see a logcat down here to the bottom. Just open it up, maximize it, and you should be on a webs. Just click on here, come to debug, go to your app, and you just click here. It will transfer the user here, and we are going to check what is happening here. Just click on register. See the fields are empty. Now we are going to check what happened? Just minimize it here. Expand your Xreg button. Copy this message. Come to this window and paste it. As you see here, this method has been run. And as a developer, you know this method has been run with no issue. And I'm going to check the verification email. That shouldn't technically show. Copy it, the message, paste it here. Nothing shows because the verification email never been used. And when you paste it here, you understand this method hasn't been used and there is something wrong. Basically, we haven't used it yet and we know this hasn't been run yet. So this is the reason we are putting a debugger on our app to always make sure the method is running and there is nothing wrong with our app. And it will be easier for you to follow up if something goes wrong, especially when you're facing a bug in your app. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't want the video to go too long and I don't want to make you tired. In the next video, we're creating a constructor and we transfer the user's data to database and we're checking our app. If you're confused in any section of this video, please write down the comment below and I will explain to you how everything's work. And if you didn't get the answer, please write down an email and send it to me and I will respond it as quick as I can. Thanks for your watching and I will see you all in next video.